Hey there, I'm Neil Gass. I am the CEO, co-owner, and Chief Marketing Strategist for Grow Smart Marketing. Welcome to this presentation, which is all about the iOS 14 changes, the privacy changes between Apple and Facebook, and what they mean more specifically for chiropractors and chiropractic marketing. Two questions I get asked all the time I like to get out of the way up front is what are you looking at? Why do you keep looking up? And what's that behind you? So I'm looking up because I have multiple monitors running here with some on the bottom and some on the top. My actual slides that I'm using that you see on the screen are for me just above the camera, which is why I'm looking up. And what's behind me is my motorhome. I am doing this video while traveling on the road. This summer with my wife. We're out exploring some of the country, but you still have to work. So I want to go ahead and dive into the information here as quickly as possible. I want to talk about really what has changed. Is it really serious? Is this the end of the world? What effect is this going to have on my sales and marketing? How do I know if it's going to impact me specifically? And are there things we can do to kind of minimize that damage? And so let's start out by understanding what has happened, what exactly has changed. So if you have an Apple phone or an iPad, you probably have been seeing these messages for a while now. It may have even been so long ago for you, like a month or two ago, that you have forgotten about these messages. But this little screen pops up whenever you're using just about any kind of mobile app asking you if you want to allow that company who owns the mobile app to be able to track your information. And of course, that sounds probably a little scarier than it really is. They have been doing this forever until this point in time, and the world hasn't exploded yet. Nonetheless, what we're finding out is a lot of people are now taking this opportunity to opt out, meaning telling the apps, no, don't track my information or the websites I visit or the information I click on. And so, again, this may have already happened for you on your phone many times, and you've either forgotten about it or just didn't even bother paying close attention to it. So what we're seeing now that we're a few months into this, and this is August 2021 when I'm recording this video, this really started to take effect about June, somewhere around June 2021. So we're now a month or two into this, and there's been a lot of now research and study being done. How many people are actually opting out, and what does that mean for us? And there's some information that came out in May that said that 96% of people are opting out of that tracking. Well, what does that mean, and how does that impact me as an advertiser? So this is an example of our Facebook ad targeting. And so historically, you can see on the bottom half of this screen, we had the ability to target characteristics such as for example, this would be like a chiropractic campaign. We could target people who have expressed an interest in things related to hips or hip joints or intervertebral discs, the sciatic nerve. Obviously, that can be very painful and probably something you'd want to see a chiropractor about. Spinal cord, sports chiropractic. Anybody who had visited websites or pages related to those topics would be kind of tagged with those topics so that now I could target them specifically in my chiropractic marketing campaign. And now that people are opting out of that, that means I'm no longer, as a marketer, able to target those people. I can still put them into my campaign targeting, but if people are opting out, the ads simply won't include them anymore. Facebook won't target them. So that means that our ads, as we used to do them with all these interests being targeted, are no longer going to be as effective. And how does that translate into the real world? Well, if somewhere between May, June, and July, either your total leads took a nosedive, or in some cases, consults and sales took a nosedive because the ads weren't as effectively targeting the right people as they used to be. That's how you're going to know, am I affected by this as a medical practice, is what impact has it had on your marketing in the last couple of months. If you took a nosedive, then probably, yes, you were affected by this. Just about everybody was in some way or another, and that leads everybody to this big question of, is this the end of Facebook marketing? Do we need to go find a whole different platform? To which the answer really is no, not really. Because there are several things that can be done on both sides of the ball on this. And that's kind of really what I wanted to get to here. On the agency side, as a marketing agency, there are a number of things that we can do to mitigate any damage or loss or drop from resulting from this change. So some of the things that we can do, Facebook conversion API programming, that's some technical jargon, meaning we have ways to put bits of code on our pages and on our websites that send certain pieces of information back to Facebook, which kind of circumvents a little bit how to get around that. Things like domain verifications, aggregated event management, all technical jargon, I know, but these are ways that we can pull some technical tricks, some programming type code tricks that will help mitigate the damage from this. A big one is just doing better copywriting. One of the most important things that often is overlooked or maybe downplayed because it's hard to find a good professional copywriter for writing ads, but good copywriting that calls out to the right audience in the right way can beat just about anything else in marketing. We can do some other creative audience targeting tricks. So instead of targeting interest, there are other things we can target. We can upload audiences that are historically buyers or people who had converted. You can still create things called lookalike audiences that look like the people who converted in the past. There are actually a number of these, quote, expert level strategies. So from a marketing side, the agency side, there are a number of things that the good agencies with good experience running ads, they're able to do to really mitigate any real downsides from this. But as importantly, and maybe more importantly to you, are what are the things you could do? One of the things is just faster callbacks of the leads you have. And really this kind of falls under an even bigger heading of let's make the most out of all the leads that we are getting. Because I'll tell you what, if you did nothing else other than call back all new leads within the first 5 minutes of the lead coming in, everything else would go away. You would double your sales overnight. It's just that simple, and it really is just that easy. Here's another thing. We're seeing and hearing a lot of providers will call us up these days asking about us and our services, and one of the things they're struggling with are high no-show rates. And so the number one thing you can do to reduce your no-shows is simply calling to confirm the appointments before they happen. I know that sounds like totally radical and crazy that anybody would suggest you do such a thing, but those two things, just calling your leads back faster and calling to confirm your appointments before they happen, will overnight transform your entire practice. I can't tell you how big of a deal that makes. Making all of the touches now takes 12 to 18 touches. There are phone calls, emails, text messages. Takes 12 to 18 of those to move that lead forward through the sale process. Those are just the numbers. If you're not willing to make those touches or your staff aren't doing those, you're going to have fewer sales. Monitoring what your salespeople are doing. I can't tell you how many clients we have worked with where the owner or clinic director or the manager of the program thinks that their salespeople are doing one thing and their salespeople are doing a very different thing. And so just keep an eye on what's going on. If you expect your salespeople to contact leads immediately when they come in, check on that. You'd be surprised at how many just assume that's still happening the way it should. So monitoring, keeping an eye on that definitely can increase your sales. Reviewing the whole experience that a patient has or a new prospect has from that moment they first become a lead to the time that they're sitting in front of you in a report of findings meeting. What does your lobby look like? Gosh, what does your parking lot look like? What is that whole experience? Who greets them? Do they have a smile on their face? Or is your waiting room area pleasant? Do you have good information there? Do you have patient testimonials? All of those things add up to more sales or less sales. And then again, probably one thing that if you did nothing else but implement a long-term lead follow-up program, you would double your sales. Literally, there are data and stats out there, and I do some training on this as well. You can find my videos long-term lead follow-up is such a huge thing. Only 15% of buyers are going to buy within the first 90 days of becoming a lead. That's a well-established, well-researched, over millions of transactions kind of statistic. It's solid. So that leaves 35% of people, of the buyers, are going to buy after 90 days. So if you're only working a lead for 1 or 2 weeks and then writing them off as a bad lead, you're throwing away at least 35% of the sales that you could have made. And really that's 35% of 100 leads. So 35 out of 100 leads are going to buy after 90 days. That's a lot more sales that you could be making. So ultimately, we're going to get to this end question, which we kind of started with, is should I stop running Facebook ads? Is it just time to stop doing that? And the answer is going to be somewhat conditional depending on you and the setup that you have. My general answer is no, probably not. Unless you're going to stick with working with somebody or an agency that doesn't have a whole lot of experience. If you're working with like your wife's cousin's nephew who said that he knows how to run Facebook ads, and you're the second client he's ever worked with, you're probably not going to have much success in your Facebook campaign. There are expert level strategies that can be employed here, and that can definitely change the game, but you need to have expert level people working on that for you. But ultimately, those competitors out there who do know what they're doing and do know how to implement those other strategies, if you bow out of the game, they're going to eat your lunch. And there's just no nice way for me to say that. This is a competitive advantage for the practices who know what they're doing and are implementing good, solid strategies, all of the things I just listed. They can really pick up market share in any small local market by taking advantage of this opportunity. So I would encourage you to, one, make sure that the agency that you're working with knows what they're doing and how to best work around this, and that they're employing all of those tricks. And two, go through that list that I just mentioned about all the things you can do in your practice to make more sales to the leads that you do have coming in. Between those two, you should be able to have a very successful marketing and sales program going forward at this point in time. So the answer is no, certainly not dead, far from it, but there are some really good opportunities for those to grab market share who are out there doing the right things in the right ways. If by chance you want some help with any of that, somewhere around this video you should see a link or a button or some way to set up a call with my business partner and I, and we'd be happy to get on the phone, answer questions. If you have more specific questions about how you're doing things and you're curious if maybe there's a better way, I'd love to offer that to you. Just use the calendar link and set up a call. We'd be happy to get on the phone and see if we can help you out a little bit further. Otherwise, I thank you. I appreciate your time and attention here today. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.